economy is not growing and not enough jobs are being created. In his first State of the Nation address of the 6th Parliament of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa admitted as much. Even with one of the most progressive Bill of Rights, South Africa is one of the most unequal countries. And today, we have different women in the legal profession who are going to be unpacking their experiences of this inequality, sharing some insights on what transformation looks like and what role we can all play in that. Hi, ladies.
Hi, Sia.
Hi, Sia.
Hey, Sia.
Hi,
Hey, Sia Dimo.
Hi, Sia.
I hope you're all good. So I'm going to get right into it. For those who don't know, my name is Adimo Tlale, and I will be facilitating this conversation on behalf of Sisters in Conversation. So I want to jump right into vulnerabilities. Let's go down memory lane a little bit and find out from each of our panelists, when was the very first time you became acutely aware of the fact that you are a Black woman? And I mean, we live in corporate South Africa, which is predominantly white, predominantly hetero-patriarchal. And of course, we know that we're Black. Of course, we know that we are women. But what was that one moment for you that made you acutely aware that, yikes, I'm very Black and I'm very woman at the same time? I'll start with Thando.
Well, I would say I knew that I was a Black when I was a young child. Actually, I remember going to my friend's house and going to visit her. She's a white person, and when I came to visit, they seemed to be removing carpets outside of the house. So came through by the gate, called my friend, and she said, "Go down, go down. My parents mustn't see you. They don't like Black people."
Oh
So
my God.
It was around that age that I started becoming aware of my Blackness. I also was spat on by someone who was my friend, who was also white. She spat on me and told me that I was Black like her shoe. And funny enough, I think the most racialized incidences I've ever had was probably in high school among colored people, who also, they were my friends in primary school, but when we went to high school, the relationships and the dynamics really started to change. So the people who used to be my friends, who even threw parties for me when I was in primary school, were now calling me a baboon, as well as referring to me as a beast, which means beast. And I've actually written about this experience and I've published it online if anyone wants to read the full story. Yeah. But the first time I became aware that I was a Black woman was when I went to Wits University and I got involved in student politics. There I was in the South African Student Congress and I was part of the executive branch and also led the Progressive Youth Alliance as well. And I had grown up in an environment whereby it didn't matter what gender you were, like you literally got what you deserved and what you worked for. And my teachers pushed me to articulate myself and to be verbal and to speak out. So now in the political arena, I'm speaking out, like I'm just being me, I'm just being normal. And then I got labeled a feminist. And at that time, feminism was a dirty word to me because feminism for me meant misandry and radicalness, radical misandry, so to speak. So I quickly said, no, I'm not a feminist. Like, what is that? Like, I believe in, I was a pick-me of gargantuan proportions. Until I realized that, you know what, if me being a feminist means that I'm on equal standing as everyone in this room, if me being a feminist means that I can actually speak and say what I want or what needs to be said, then hell yes, I'm a feminist. So for me, that was the beginning of me realizing that I was a woman and that even among people of my race, I was not wanted and I was silenced.
Yeah. Ooh, what a story, Thando. Debelo, are you going to go next? You're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi guys, I'm Debelo for those who don't know me. Sure, Thando, your story is out of this world. I've never being called a baboon. But even if I was called a baboon at a young age, I think I would have just, tackled the person just purely because I don't want to be a baboon. But I wouldn't have ever imagined linking it to race. I was just way too young. But the first memory that I have of racism actually only came back right now during Black Lives Matter. Especially there was a movement where I think it's St. Anne's or St. Anna's, I don't know. They were being held accountable for all the racist remarks they've been making over the years, and it really came into focus that private schools have generally been, teachers from private schools have generally been very racist towards the Black minority that existed at the time. And the school that I went to Crawford. It was a private school, still is a private school. And I just remember that we were always called the Black Corner. And we'd laugh about it because we didn't want, to ruffle any feathers. And that's exactly what would happen when we bring up issues of racism, it's been so affirming during this whole Black Lives Matter movement to see that we weren't being crazy in high school when we were upset at the way we were being treated. It was undertones, it was very subtle but very obvious. It also happened that, there was a time when the deputy principal was calling me Julius Malema. And I realized, that it's because I was always very vocal. Yeah. And back then, I never attached it to race. I just thought, okay, maybe they mean I'm very outspoken when it comes to issues of race and whatever. But for fear of being dismissed, and also when you bring up issues and you're being made to seem like you're overreacting, you're overreacting. It's not that bad. So I first realized, in high school, we be out here being called the Black Corner. And it made sense because myself and 4 Black girls, we sat in the corner. We were generally very loud. All our names started with T's, and it didn't matter. Like, we looked nothing alike, but on any given day, if the teacher wanted to call me Dumi, then that day I was Dumi. And it just goes to show that white people don't care, they just didn't care to know even our names. Just because my name starts with a T, I was either Tebello that day, I was Tato, I was Dumi, I was Kando, I was whichever T the teacher wanted me to know on that day, because she was just too lazy to learn our names. And there are 4 Black girls. They all look the same. We're gonna just give them the same identity. And there was also something that came up in the paper. I don't know if I had seen a tweet or if I had seen an article where I forgot now who it was by, but the Black guy was going on about how he was made to feel that he was naughty more than once, because if a white teacher reprimanded a Black student on Monday, then on Thursday, Debello would now take flack for the Black student on Monday. It was almost like we all grouped into the same naughty corner because we're Black. So I'd end up facing double trouble on Thursday because the teacher just remembers that on Monday there was another Black child causing trouble. And I really, recall many instances of feeling like I was getting in trouble as a collective instead of as an individual, because the teachers just remember us as Black people. The next time I really faced racism, which eventually led me to doing my own thing, was during my articles. The company I worked for was, white lilies, fully white. But the most important thing that I've come to realize about that company is that the focus wasn't actually so much on race. Now that I look back on it, the focus was on colorism. I remember instances where, I was told that I'm not like the other Blacks, because I spoke with a twang, or I speak with a twang, and my Black colleague speaks with an accent, determined, for example. And it was just little things of undermining that, they were trying to split me from the other Black people because I was better. Came from a private school, polished English, you speak well. When people start saying you speak well for a Black person. And I remember actually once saying that to my boss. He had mentioned something and he had said, that was so well spoken. And I actually said to him, well spoken for a Black person. And he just froze. And that actually taught me that in order for, white people to start being held accountable for the way they treat Black employees, is to just hold them accountable, just embarrass them. Make them aware
Yeah.
of their actions, because if we keep quiet, then we are condoning that kind of behavior. When someone calls you Tando and your name is Tebello, it's up to you to say, that's not my name. Oh, no, it's fine. I'll just call you T. No, don't call me T. Call me Tebello. You know, that's my name. That's that or that. You don't have to call me Tando. You don't have to call me T. It doesn't have to. My name isn't to accommodate you. My name is my identity. And that's the most important thing that we have to push with white people. But back to my story of my articles, I remember working on research during the first 2 months that I was there. I did extensive research on a topic, and when it was then time for to meet the client, my white colleague got chosen over me. And I was like, okay, but why did she get chosen instead of me? I've been doing all the research, you know? And I didn't get an answer for that. And I remember saying, it's literally because I am Black. Like, she then one day came to my office and she's like, oh, where's the file for this matter? I'm going into a meeting. And I then, like, maybe a week later, I came to learn that she wasn't even done with her degree at that moment. So she was technically less qualified than me, but she got to run with the matter because, you know, she was palatable. And we then had, you know, in the same year, we then had a meeting with the South African Taxi Association. And guess who was invited to the meeting? Me, the token Black girl. And that's when I came to see, you know, like, for what it was, that this is racism, outright racism. Outright, we're being undermined. We were also, like I said, being split according to color. You could almost see the different treatment from your darker colleagues, literally your darker colleagues yourself. You could see the different treatment between the polished private school accents and the other accents. It was almost like, if we can divide the Black people, then we'll conquer type thing. So that was one of the main reasons why I was like, I want to start my own thing which celebrates Black women, not based on the color of the skin, but based on their merit. I know that Black women are capable and able of, you know, being remarkable trailblazers in the profession, but we aren't given a voice enough.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for sharing. Mpho, are there any, I know we must be all feeling so triggered at this moment, but is there any particular story that comes to mind the first time when you realized you are Black and you are a woman at the same time?
Absolutely, Sia, there are so many. And yes, the stories are very triggering. I mean, for me, the first time that I encountered this, I didn't even have the vocabulary to call it what it was. Yeah, so I remember very well, my parents had taken me out of this creche in the hood, and they took me to preschool at this private school, and there were about 2 or 3 Black kids. The rest were from other races, be it Indian, white, and so forth. Yeah. And I remember we had an exercise to draw a portrait of ourselves. And I remember one of the kids just giving me the black crayons. And I couldn't understand why they were doing this. Everyone else had, you know, a full spectrum of colors to choose from, and I was being limited to black crayons. And I was like, but why? At that point, I thought I was brown, you know. So I'm like, but I'm brown. I want to use the brown colors, and they were like, no, you're not. You're Black, and this is all you deserve. So at that point, it didn't make much sense. I carried on in the same school. My father was very musical, and he wanted me to play the piano. And he tried to enroll me so that I could start playing. At that point, I was 8 years old. The piano teacher said no, she couldn't take me. My dad had to come. He came to the principal's office. He spoke to the teachers. He spoke to everyone. And their excuse was just that I was too young to understand the music and I wouldn't be able to read it. And I was like, okay, that's very strange because, you know, I know so and so and so and so in my class who are actually learning. So why can't I do it? It got to the point where my dad actually just got fed up and he took me out of that school. So in grade 2, I had to leave that school because, I mean, my dad just wasn't having it. At the time, I thought, okay, maybe this man is overreacting because, like I said, I didn't know what was going on. Moved to a different school. still, you know, a school where it's minority Blacks. And I remember during our grade 7 camp, we had what Debelo also referred to as, you know, the little black corner. And I remember getting into a debate with our white classmates, and before it could even go anywhere, I remember the teachers coming down on us like a ton of bricks. And what they said to us will remain with me to this very day. Basically, they said that racism is a made-up construct which doesn't exist. The level to which we were gaslit was amazing. I mean, can you imagine as a country what we have been through for that whole experience to be limited to something that is in your head?
Yeah.
So that was hectic. That was childhood. High school was a bit better for me. I already had that self-awareness that I was Black. My father was very he was very close to the civil rights movement. So he did what he could to educate us. He did what he could to help us break out of that, you know, inferiority complex that is sometimes instilled, or that Black people never break out of. But he always wanted us to make sure that we believe that anything someone else can do, just because we're Black, it doesn't mean we can't do it. We can do it as well. And so I always went into whatever I was doing with that mindset, sort of growing up. And then, I mean, the microaggressions continued. I'd say most of my experience have sort of manifested themselves in microaggressions, you know, in the school environment, in the work environment. You'll be asked to get a cappuccino, and it's like, okay, how is that my job? If someone wants a cappuccino, surely, you know, and you think, let me not be difficult, let me try see the bigger picture, let me be, but yeah, those kinds of things manifest themselves. But I became aware of it quite young, the fact that I am a Black person in this world, a Black woman in this world. And yeah, it's something that I've sort of carried and learned to live with.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Kholofelo. Is there anything you want to add about your own personal experience?
I'm already upset.
We're also upset. I'm reading the comments. Everybody's just being so triggered, being taken back, you know. And I like what Mpo was saying about not having the vocab. I think sometimes when you don't even have the vocab, it's so easy to be gaslit because you don't even know what's happening. Sometimes you even want to internalize it as a personal experience, you know.
Exactly. So with my story, how the first time I came into my Blackness was when I changed school. In primary school. I was about 11, 10. I went from being in a school in the township to a predominantly white school. And I remember just how shocked, how gobsmacked they were that I could speak English so well. Everybody was just like, where did you say you're from? Soweto. Oh my gosh, where did you learn how to do this? And then then this English teacher who took a liking to me started journeying me into whiteness. And she signed me up for ballet, etiquette classes. I don't know what they were called. They were called finishing classes. And whenever I'd get home, my mom would be like, where did you pick that up? I'm like, no, Miss Bailey's doing these things at school. She's like, who said she must do these things? And I didn't understand. I just thought my mom doesn't understand. She doesn't come from that. She's from the old school.
Yeah.
So I didn't get, as Mpo said, I also didn't have the vocab for that. I didn't have the vocabulary for it. But I could just see, she was like, you're different, you're gifted, you're not like the other kids. Don't play with Zola. Don't play with the kids from Alex. The kids from around here from Alex, don't play with them. They're not like you, they're not talented. And she was on a mission. We're gonna go to St. Mary for high school. We're gonna do this. She had very big plans for me, which I didn't have before. Well, big plans in her perspective, in her little world. And then I think the biggest bomb for me was realizing I'm Black twice, being a Black woman.
Yeah.
So during my articles, I worked for I worked for some very interesting people who just wouldn't. So this is what happened. The first instance, I remember being in a team where it was just all white people. And I remember they said that they assigned me to that team because they're talented, they do corporate work, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm very interested. And then the girl who was my peer mistakenly sent her payslip. She was sending her payslip to an insurer.
Yeah.
And then she CC'd me by mistake with peers. And it was twice, double what I earn.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand. So then I remember I was just like, I'm not going to keep quiet. I'm going to speak to my boss. And I said, this is what happened. I only found out because she inadvertently sent this email. She inadvertently CC'd me in this email.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're gonna discuss this. It's just that she's been here longer. I had seeded my articles to this firm. So they're like, she's been here longer. But I'm like, we're getting admitted in the same year. So it doesn't matter if she started her articles here. I'm finishing my articles here.
Yeah.
We're running the same race in terms of the legal fraternity.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know what the difference was. I was like, if you can explain to me what the difference is. She's like, oh, she's been in the team longer. Nothing was adding up until she had to adjust the salary. And she was just like, just keep quiet. But why did I have to fight? Why did you see no value from the get-go?
Yeah.
And then when I got admitted, it would be also like microaggressions, but also macroaggressions.
Yeah.
I was an associate and I was fighting for authority. You know how law firms are with ranking and authority. And once you become an associate, then you have candidate attorneys who you can send around to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I had this, we were assigned a few CAs in our team, and they were just saying all the associates will have their own CAs. And mine was this white boy who just didn't listen to me. He didn't care. He would leave before I left. He didn't care that I worked till 3 a.m. and I did all his work, basically.
Oh, wow.
And they defended him no matter how many times I raised this. And I remember having a meeting, a very important meeting, I remember, as well as a court hearing. All he needed to do was note the judgment. And I remember I sent him, left him the note, even added him on the calendar invite. And in the middle of the meeting, I see him walking around in the office. And now, so I get out of the meeting, I'm like, the judgment hasn't been noted. And he was just like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I've got stuff to do. I'm busy.
Oh.
I had never spoken to any senior like that. I didn't know that behavior. I didn't know where that was coming from because I have treated him with utmost respect, even as a junior.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what that was. So then I started reporting him because this happened quite often after that. Started reporting, and my boss would always defend him. Always say that he's talented, he's better than most VAs. And I just didn't get it until the one day then she started annihilating my work. She's like, this is not right. I still don't think you're ready for being an associate. I don't know who made you associate so quickly. And then the one night I was feeling sorry for myself at the office. I'm like, I must be doing something wrong. But how come I'm getting such good reviews from clients and fellow attorneys, but not from my boss? So I went, and the one day she told me, she was like, what did she say? She said, the CA that worked for us, she was saying that he's more ready than I am to be an attorney. Ooh. And I accepted it. I was like, you know what, maybe this is not the place for me. The one day they all left early, and I went to his office, went to see all the stuff that she's marked. You know, they vet stuff and they put all their red pen all over your contract.
Yeah.
I went to look at his work, torn, nothing good. All the comments were, you have to start again. This is terrible. Why are you here? And I'm just like, so she doesn't even do that. My work is flawless. Like, there is no red pen. So why is she lying? What is it? I didn't understand where the disconnect was.
Yeah.
And so then I sat down with her. I was like, what is, can you just tell me? And then she just started talking about the work. No, you're not ready. But she wasn't getting down to the T. and they would have secret braais and meetings. I'd be in the office alone, and they're like, "Aren't you joining your team at Pizza Evino?" I'm like, "What?" Nobody said anything.
Oh my God.
Calendar invites that are hidden, blocked calendars that I can't get access to. And I was always bending, constantly bending. I'm like, I will do it. I once went, you guys are going to laugh. I once went to tan with them.
Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm so sorry to interject. So Tabella has just posted a new link that we should please just all open, because this session is going to end in a couple of seconds.
Okay.
And then we'll just continue the chat on there.
All right.
Cool.